Peace, peace, peace. What's good, fam? Hopefully, everybody can hear me okay. I am live now. I wanted to go live a little early because this is only my second time doing the video, so um I'll wait for people to come in. And I have a special guest that I just DM'd and she'll be coming in pretty soon as well. Her name is Ashley uh, Perky Perkins. So yeah. So if anybody's here, let me know. We're all good. And I'm working with my computer here, but I'm also working with my phone. So trying to figure out how all that go, how you can do it at the same time. So, like I said, I'm relatively new to all of this technology stuff. So that's why I wanted to start a little bit early. Okay. So there's a way to do this stuff. Okay. And hopefully I'll do this right so I'm not in two places. So yeah. Let me know if y'all can hear me okay. Still got 3 minutes. I guess in the stream, what I'm going to do is put my PayPal. If anybody's interested in helping out. I do have someone watching. Hello. Let me know who you are. And I started a little early because I just want to make sure I get everything right. Uh, if you care to tell me who you are, that'll be great. And I just posted my. Well, I did have somebody, and I don't have a really super duper great live stream. Might be because I have two. Maybe I need to. Wait a minute. Okay. I think what I need to do is take one of these off. Okay, I think I'm gonna take. Okay. See how that goes. We are about to start. I guess it is 9 o'clock now, right? Okay. Great. How's everybody tonight? Um. Okay. So we're on live now. Hello, Miss Lakers. How you doing? Can you hear me okay? Let me know. I'm gonna turn this other phone off so because I think it affects the stream. I'm not sure. Can you hear me okay? Miss Lakers? Hope the mic is okay. Oh, okay. And I see Perky has chimed in. Give me a sec, Perk. Can you hear me? Just nod your head. Can you hear me? All right. All right, cool. All right. The funny thing about all this is when I went to college originally, I wanted to be in mass communications, never really got around to it. And all this technology stuff, I'm just now catching on to it. So great, great, great. All right. So we got Miss Lakers in here. We got Miss Perky on in the backstage in the studio. I'm going to add her in a second. I'm not sure how many people are going to show up. I did have a pretty decent, I guess, audience last time, but I'm not sure how this was going to go. So, right now, it just might be us three, Miss Perky and Miss Lakers and myself, but there'll be more people chiming in. So, anyway, I guess we can kind of get started talking. Let me just say a little bit about what we want to discuss tonight. Of course, we're going to talk about Derrick Jaxn and the drama going on with Derrick Jaxn. I think a lot of us are already pretty aware of what's going on with that. And I'll tell you, I kind of want this to be more of a free-flowing conversation. And I was listening to the wife, and the more that I listen to the wife, I don't know. I'm not saying this is why he cheated, but the wife needs to be more. I like to see her be more assertive and not what's the word? Deferring to him as much. So anyway, let me go ahead and bring in Miss Ashley Perkins, better known as Perky from Perky Perspectives and a whole bunch of other things. And when you come in, Perk, you can introduce yourself more and talk about your entrepreneurship, your art, your poetry, your nonprofit. You got a lot of things going on. So I'm going to add you to the stream right now. And here we go.
Yeah, I got a little bit too much, huh? The
Okay.
way you said it. Hey.
There we go. Okay, now let me work over here. My big head.
Okay,
Okay.
so yes, to introduce myself, Ashley is my name, Perky is my alias. If you want to find anything by me, Perky Perspectives is usually an easy way to find me if you type that in. Um, so yeah, I have my own business called Love Period LLC, where I help people get connected to sea moss gel, or herbs from Jamaica. Also looking to be a vendor. So if anybody wants to start their own business with sea moss, I can help provide you your goods in bulk. We also have a nonprofit, which I have a co-founder, Tahira, and our nonprofit just became incorporated this year. It's called For Us Nation. You can find that at forusnation.com. We actually just had our Finance Friday today. So we talk about everything Black, but we definitely try to provide resources to our community. And then, yeah, I have a song, No Regrets, featuring Dane Blaze. You can find that on all streaming platforms. And I also have a poem that's out called Freedom. So you could check those out too. But like the thing that most people know me for is speaking on stages and having my podcast, Perky Perspectives, which is everywhere too. So just look for that. So yeah, link up. Hit me up. But yeah, today on the subject of Derrick Jaxn, it's actually pretty funny because one of the shirts that he wore that kind of went viral, especially after all this nonsense, says "Black men don't cheat." And I remember I had a radio show up under the After Party Radio studios, and they had an event called Black Men Don't Cheat. And I was like, come on. And it was just so funny because right around the time they was promoting the event, I actually got introduced to that studio through my then boyfriend. And the crazy part is I found out later that he took me to the studio second. He took his mistress there first. and they watched the live show happening. Then when I came back, because I was out of town, when I came back, he took me up there, and then I started the show, and he was all hyping it like, yeah, black men don't cheat, black men don't cheat. And it's like, kind of find out you cheated. So it's like, I already felt some type of way about that whole thing. And now Derrick Jaxn, who I didn't know of before all this stuff, he blowing up and he wearing the shirt. And I'm just like, is this supposed to be a cliche or something? Like, can we not really rely on the phrase that black men don't cheat? Like, come on, y'all. Like, we kind of do better. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I find it interesting because I like the first person. Who else? I was watching another, I don't know if a vlogger who said she had never really heard of him before. Somebody that got onto another live stream about him. So if you hadn't heard about him before, you certainly have now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And
so
the crazy
let
thing
me
is,
ask you.
those women were in Atlanta. Like, I feel like I don't know about him, but like I travel a lot and I live all the way on the West Coast. But like some of the women, I mean, obviously the women he was dating, a lot of them were in his area and they had no idea who he was. But he's this big part. Like, you see pictures of him speaking on stages for Essence and all these things. So I'm just like, how did these women not hear of him? You know, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right. Yeah, I saw a video of him at the Essence Festival, I think with his wife. And his wife is beautiful physically. You know, but when she starts talking, that's another ball game. I'm just leave it at that. But this is my thing. I'll let you chime back in. But if you decide to marry a woman, you marry a woman, period. Like, for better or worse. And she's beautiful to me, you know. But it's like people are saying because she looks frumpy in pictures and this and that. And then if you show his mistresses, quote unquote mistresses or side, whatever you want to call them, you know, they're voluptuous. They look kind of good. You know, I guess to me, like, they're more shapely, I guess. So some of the pictures that I've seen, and then I saw a picture of the doctor. He got pregnant. I don't know.
They released
out her face, but
she was supposed to be anonymous. Ooh, child.
Yeah, they blurted out her face.
Oh,
I'll send you the picture, or maybe you know how they do the face or whatever. And she was on Tasha K of all things. So yeah, she didn't really care. She said she.
I'm like, you didn't muffle your voice or nothing, girl.
Yeah. And so Miss Laker says she's broken. So what do you think of that? Feed off of that. What do you think about her being broken? Hey, Gail.
So, well, I feel like she's beautiful. And I've seen, like, I mean, in the other video you sent me from Tasha, she had other pictures. Like, it was just, I mean, she came on live looking like she just woke up, which she may have. Let's be real. He may have really just been like, girl, come on, do this video, and didn't let her get ready, or she didn't want to, or she, you know. But I feel like she's, you know, she's pretty. But it's also like, look, if I have to be at home all the time taking care of the household because you're out running the streets, then you might catch me looking,
or in your car making videos.
Right. You in the car in front of other women's houses making videos. Let's be real. He wasn't just going to the car like, oh, it's too loud in the house, let me go into the car to make videos. No, he was, you know, sleeping with women, and then he was about to leave and was like, hold on, let me make this video. Because his guilt, his conscience, I feel like, was screaming at him. Like, and so then he'll come and make a video and be like, oh, women need to not sleep with men and all this stuff, even though he just finished doing it. But as far as her being broken, I mean, if the mistress, the surgeon, or the resident was telling the truth about him being verbally and kind of physically aggressive, then yeah, she probably is broken. She probably is. You know, he probably has been verbally and emotionally abusing her and gaslighting her and, you know, projecting onto her this whole time. So I believe.
Okay. Well, you know, just a few of us in here right now, but Gail says she thinks the whole thing came out the day after the interview. Tasha K gave too much information for him not to deny it, pretty much, and who she was. And
Mm-hmm.
Miss Lakers says he has broken her and it has nothing to do with her looks. I totally agree because I think she's beautiful
Yeah.
regardless. And she's a black and she's the mother of his child and he's his wife. So she should be the most beautiful woman in the world. So,
And they've
but
been
okay,
dating since
so
like
mental
what, college? Like, bro, if you didn't want
college,
me,
yeah.
like, okay, I feel like there's accountability on both ends. As a woman, we don't even have to put gender on it. As a person, you feel when somebody is not all the way with you or into you or,
Especially
pop
a woman, though, because you all have these censors. So she's,
right.
yeah, I'm not saying she, no, but I think okay, go ahead.
Right. At some point,
He hit it
I know
well,
something
though,
was
right? Would
tingling
you
in her
agree?
gut. Huh?
Right. He hid his stuff. It seems pretty well. I mean, because he may have been doing the videos in the car, but
But
like
the
he had sex
but the car seat was in the
when
back
he was on a
seat.
trip, huh?
You said the car seat was in the
The child,
back seat.
yeah. I heard in one case that his wife and children had gone to Colorado and he had sex with one of the women in his bed and they filmed it and stuff and I'm just like, is the ultimate disrespect. If you want to move on, or get a separation, just do that. But yeah, I want to say, let me just chime in. Gail is saying her recent video. Yeah, if you look at her recent video, yeah, you can be very concerned about her mental state. I would definitely say look at her video because and then Miss Lakers says she don't think she's beautiful because she's longing to be what the other women are. And I really hope that's not the case because I've seen some pictures of her and I'm like, damn, she's beautiful.
As a
So
mental health
now, what do you
clinician,
think about go ahead,
I was just gonna
his
say
power and control over her?
that was the Candace lady
Mm,
who was with. Yeah,
go ahead.
I would say as far as like the mental aspect, there may be some stuff going on with that because and I know I don't diagnose anybody that's not my client, but she does tend to lean a
Oh
lot.
yeah, you are a mental health provider
Yeah,
as well. Forgot to mention that.
I didn't
Okay,
forget.
excellent.
I'm just not trying to work 9 to 5s no more, so I don't mention it.
I
But
feel
yes,
you.
I
I
work
feel
as a
you.
clinician for my day job, and I feel like she leans a lot on the religion, and you tend to see that a lot with people that
Right.
have some sort of mental health issues. But at the same time, I think that he probably has a pretty big hold on her life to where he gets to control some of the stuff that she sees or does and all this stuff. And it's like they said, it's easy for him to blame things on God and the devil, and she's gonna be like, yeah. But if she really had the space to think and get out of all of that and just have some time to herself, she probably wouldn't want to stay. But she's been with him since college, so she's built a lot of her life and her identity off of being his wife. And she probably is like, I don't know what to do outside of this. What does she do? What is her
Right.
day job or her like what does she do? Does she go to school
Oh,
like
that, that's a good question. What did she graduate in? I don't know. I think she may just watch. And I've seen a picture of her. You probably seen she's like a cheerleader, and he has his football uniform, and she's like looking up to him. So they've been together. What is he like? Early 30s. They've been together for like at least 10 years. Yeah, 10 years or so. But let me
mhm.
chime in because I want everyone included. Gail saying the Candace lady. I'm not sure who that was, but the Candace lady is the first lady. Oh yeah, that's the thick one, and that story came out first. She went to the wife went to Colorado with the children, and then this is when Derrick had the I don't know if it was the first affair, but this is when he had the affair. And
Mhm.
yeah, now he's standing. Gail's he's standing to lose everything, and all she has to do is press the button. Wow, that's crazy. Uh,
She not
okay, and one more quote for Miss. She doesn't think that she's beautiful, and she said that. I
oh
don't
she
know
said
what's wrong with her. She
sheesh.
says she doesn't think she's beautiful. So there's a lot of things going on here. So what do you think? Everybody, but what do you think, Perk?
I think we live in although we're coming into a more open and and freeing world to where, you know, women don't have to be under certain type of holds and, you know, like, okay, like, you know, even just the term, the words Mr. and Mrs. whatever the last name is, you know, like a lot of our history in this country has been women having to be subservient under a man, right? Especially if you from the Bible Belt, or, you know, you're from a really religious household. So I feel like if she really recognized that this is 2021, you could do whatever you want to do, you could be whoever you want to be, even if you are divorced, even as a Christian woman, you know, that she
With
would.
children, though, don't forget the kids.
I mean, but hey, don't know. Some people don't care. I've read stories about women securing a bag with billionaires and have children. You know what I mean? So it's really where you limit yourself to. And I feel like she has limited herself to being this man's. I don't even punch a bag. Like, I don't know what to label her, but she's put herself there. She's put herself there. Like, and the fact that she doesn't think she's beautiful, he's probably told her that. Because look at the women that he's dated while with her. Look at all the women that he chases after, and then look at the way she showed up on video. You don't think that was on purpose? He wouldn't let his mistress get on video like that. He want people to know that he bags the women, but he don't want her to be confident. He don't want people, because look at how people down in her, like, oh, her bonnet and all this stuff. If she came on there like boom bow bing and was like, I know who I am, everybody be like, you don't need him, sis. Get out of there, whoopty whoop. But people are blaming her for him cheating. Like, oh, this is why he cheated, because she let herself go, or that bonnet tell me everything I need to know and stuff. He did that on purpose.
It's so disrespectful. Right. Let me say this. And I'm gonna read a couple more comments. I think that it's like, this is what I think. I think that he was like, look, yo, we got to do this video, and I don't care. We need to do it right now because it's getting hot. I think she was just like, there it is, and we just gonna do it. That's what I think. And it could be what you said, well, Perk, but you know, if lack confidence, that's really unfortunate, because she shouldn't do that. And I really feel, I don't know. Here's the question, I guess, because Miss Lakers says, I'm religious, but God let you get a divorce on the grounds of adultery. But for some people, it's easier, but for other people, it's not as easier when there's children. Mm-hmm. And also when even the Bible so much about adultery, and you don't realize that really one of the main purposes to be together is to grow together. And not all relationships are meant to be lifetime relationships. The season is a lifetime. Maybe this isn't a lifetime relationship. Maybe there's things that we don't know that's going on. But the last that I heard is that the last time he had sex with somebody was on the 19th. And I guess that's last Friday. He's still doing it. He's tall, dark, and handsome. He's built well, and he women. Yeah, go ahead. And the doctor is beautiful. She made a statement saying he came over one day when he wasn't put all together. He told her she looks a mess, and she was leaving until she got herself together. Now, here's another question I want to ask. You can chime back in, Perk. Like, what makes these women, like, after they find out, you know, still stay around? Where's the sisterhood in all of this? You know,
well, I heard that he kind of well endowed,
accountable as well. Go ahead.
I said I heard he well endowed.
Yeah, I heard that.
And so if you just,
but he doesn't last too long at the same time. I heard the same.
But
so
but I'm saying,
it out, but whatever.
Sometimes, like, not to put my business out there, but I've had people in my past no, not like that, but just kind of like, if you weren't with them, like if you weren't, because some of these women, they weren't trying to date him and be with him seriously. They just will mess around and, you know, be here and there with him. And I feel like that would have to keep him. Like, sometimes guys are going to say stupid stuff and you be like, okay, and then you don't talk to them for 2 weeks, or you don't, and then, you know, you'd be like, what you doing? Like, like maybe it was one of those situation. And he was picking women, like he was picking women that weren't fully available too. You know, he didn't want a woman that wanted to get married, you know, because he was still in marriage.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Even when I listened, I don't know, I sent you the link last night, but the woman that he had supposedly the abortion with, he was basically trying to say, this is another, he's saying that he was trying to leave his wife and he was getting separated, and why don't you have a child and all this other stuff. So he's doing the whole manipulation thing really big time. But one thing I wanted to say about women is that whole F-boy thing. It's hard to break down when the sex is good, it seems, for some of y'all. For a lot of too many women. He could be doing whatever, but if he's putting it down in bed, I guess some women just feel they gotta
Yeah.
stay. I hope
I mean, I think it's temporary.
case.
It's temporary because guys do the same thing. You know what I mean? You deal with people in certain capacities. So it's just like once you realize he's a jerk and you don't want to be with him, then until you find the next thing or you're, really ready to move on, sometimes you'll stick around or sometimes you'll be like, look, I don't need this. Like, I think it really depends on the person. But I also was just thinking just now, I wonder if part of the reason why he didn't want that lady to get a divorce is also because she's about to be a doctor. So she has money. And
Right.
he probably, and guys do, come on. How many guys have we heard of just spreading they seed, you know what I mean? And then once it's time to actually be a parent, they deuce. Like it could have been one of those, like he want his seed out there because there's still that instinctual part of you that wants, your baby to be born and be brought into this world. And maybe he was just like, nah, I want you to have my baby. But he don't look at his wife. Do he really be with his kids? Like we don't know. We don't know. Like he might not even
Yeah.
care to be a father. It might just be about having kids. Just like it seems like he doesn't care about the women. It's just about having sex. So
Right. Right.
I don't know. He's sloppy
And
though. He's sloppy.
yeah, because he let one of the women, I think the doctor that Gail is speaking of, take pictures in his bed, in his wife,
No, the
and
first
his
one.
him and
That's Candace. The doctor, she says she only
the
met him
first.
at her house.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and that's the definite no. She should have known, unless she just really wanted the, you know what, don't just let a guy always just come over there unless you just really want the sex, I guess.
I mean, let's be
Um,
fair though. Nurses and residents, they work what, 16 plus hours? That's probably all she wanted.
that's true. Yeah,
Not to
yeah.
be a father.
Gail
Exactly.
said he wanted that seed for control and narcissistic supply. I like that. Not to be a father. Always car seat, no baby. Right. Yeah, I didn't even know he was married. For honestly, I thought he was just giving out advice, and then you find all that out. And then it's like he's dirty and nasty, and he did it in the truck too. So
Who
I
truck?
guess that leads to my. I guess he has a truck as well, but and his net worth is probably between 1 million and 1.5 or something, and
So
he
you
also
think
had a
he's gonna keep
contract as
growing?
a
You think he's
TDJ.
gonna
Uh,
be more
uh,
successful because of this, or you think he's gonna lose his credibility? What do you think is happening? You think
I,
he's gonna be able to
I think
rebrand?
50-50. Yeah,
Mm.
he has a deal with Jaxn. I don't know if it's still on the table for $100,000, a speaking thing, and
This
I
happened
think
before
that
or
he may
after
do
this?
before.
Oh,
So he may have to do a Jimmy Swaggart. Y'all remember him, like the minister years ago? I have sinned, and he did that whole thing. So I think what he might try to do is go to Iyanla or Dr. Phil or something, and then try to resurrect his. I don't know. I
and
think
there's
Iyanla
probably
Fix
women
My
in
Life
his
might
DMs
be a little.
right now that's like, I heard that you wooty wooty woo, and I see why you cheated on your wife because wooty wooty woo. I bet you he getting it in right now. I bet you. Yeah, he'll be all
Yeah,
right. He'll be all right. Sadly, he'll be all right.
yeah. Yeah, I think I'm 50-50 on his career, because now he kind of reminds me of Takashi, the Takashi guy with Takashi. What's his name? Takashi.
You said it.
Um, yeah, the one that snitched on everybody. Like, he had a little career online. It seems like it's going down now, but he's gonna have to do some major kind of forgiveness sort of tour and stuff like that, and then try to make good with wife. But who said it? Somebody said it up here that all she has to do. I think Miss Lakers said all she had, or Miss Gail. The other two said that all the wife has to just pull the plug, and she could get everything that he has.
I think
But
she
I don't
should.
know. It seems she's so this part. She's not gonna do that.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
but some people, and then okay, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. We live in a country where you could freely, in some certain places, have multiple women. Shoot, even if you don't want to get married, there are people that have sister wives, right? So it's like if you, woman, and I'm talking to his wife, if you are okay with your man going and being with other women, and when I mean okay, like mentally, she might not be accepting of it, but you staying around is kind of showing that you're okay with it, right? Especially at this point. So if you're gonna accept this behavior, then you might as well just, I would tell him, give me one more baby if you want another baby. Let him get a vasectomy. And you don't have sex with him unless he gets tested. Like that's like it, that because for me, it's like you in Atlanta. So like I don't know how these women was
Right.
doing all this stuff with him and not having fear in their heart. And I mean it can happen anywhere, but especially in Atlanta. I want to know if he was
Right.
only laying down with women, because it seemed like he craved attention and it seems like he's a sex addict. So I wonder if he was only laying down with women. I'm just
Well,
putting it.
this is what's so funny and interesting, and I'm gonna do um, surviving Kevin Samuels next week. Now he called Kevin Samuels the other relationship consultant on the low, and they've been going back and forth now. But Kevin Samuels now has a huge following and all the rest of them. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say that he's on the low. It just seems like he has an ego problem. I think it's ego, narcissism before, because the brain controls everything else. And I feel that he feels like maybe he got married too early, and he's not a spiritual man. Because if he's a spiritual man, he could control his lower animal nature. You know, and so he uses the Bible to kind of hide, and that's where he's from. And it's also profitable to be in the church and talk all this other stuff, because you can go speak at churches and you can get paid. You can get a deal with TD Jakes if you get big enough. So
It's a
it's kind
need.
of a big hustle way around. But let me ask this: now what accountability should the doctor have? The doctor and the women that are doing this, like once they find out, they seem like nice women listening to their interviews, but like, what is accountability? How can we improve sisterhood when you find out that a man has a wife? Like, what could be done? Or is there any hope for that? Because some women don't care. They just want to get theirs regardless. What do you think about that?
Well, I think when it comes to joining with anybody in any type of relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, it's first important to make sure that you guys hold the same definitions for things, because maybe his idea of marriage was to
Values,
just
yeah.
make sure that he provided for her. And then her idea of marriage was it was going to be just them
Right.
two. So I think that's one big thing. And I think he's only 30. He's like my age. So I think he's only 30 and she's around, they're the same age. And so it's just like, yeah, he's young, and it seems, you know how it is, like they say when you take time from sex, it heightens something in you mentally and physically. And it seems like he never really took time from sex, and it's controlling his every move. Like he's hella thirsty. Like the doctor said he be in the parking lot just jacking off. Like how, what, like
Yeah, I heard that.
public indecency, and that, like, and it's not at night. Like I could see, whatever, like you human, I could see if you in the parking lot at night, pitch black, and you just like, come on girl, I'm waiting for you. You said you was gonna be here at 10:15. It is 10:25 and you late. Like I could kind of get that, you know what I mean? You feeling for the person that you really want to be with. But it didn't seem like it had to do anything with her, because she said even when he was supposed to be talking to her about how he betrayed her by lying to her and stuff, they had sex 5 times. Now, the sisterhood thing, I feel like you, as the person in the relationship, set up the level of respect with the other person. So if he's always downplaying his wife, talking bad about her, making her seem like this horrible, terrible person, then he already set that energy with the other woman for her to believe it's okay to be disrespectful to her too. Now, the sisterhood should be stronger, but like, let's be real. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen relationships where the women were just terrible to the men, and you kind of like, I don't really care what happened to her. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you wouldn't stop your friend from flirting with somebody else if you knew who his woman was. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that makes it right. But I do feel like it was up to him. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
She should have
I
left
remember
though.
there was a song. Yeah, this is one of the great albums that a lot of people slept on, and maybe it might be a little before your time, a little bit, Perky, but others. Mama's Gun by Erica Badu. Y'all remember that album? It has Bag Lady on it. It has, I think it has Tyrone on. I'm not
Bag
sure, but
lady,
there's
you gonna hurt your back.
yeah, there's a song called Booty on there, and I would just say listen to that song because she talks about morals and stuff like that and sisterhood. And then Jaguar Wright, who I'm a big fan of, said that the song was partly about her, but whatever. Check that song out, Booty by Erica Badu, and she talks about it. But I guess can we increase sisterhood?
We
Because
need
these
to.
brothers are not the brothers like I wrote a book called Dating Games. The Brother Speaks Up, trying to expose the brothers and stuff like that. I'm gonna re-release it soon. But how can we improve the sisterhood? Is possible because these men ain't cheating by themselves. And how can we end the whole phenomenon of the FK boys?
Wait, before we get to that, Miss Laker, which generation are you speaking of? Because right now we currently in Generation Z. So which generation are you speaking of?
Yeah, so Generation Z is now. Before that was Generation X.
No, millennials.
Break down the. I'm a little millennials. Millenniums is not generation.
Oh, I don't
It's
know if
not
we
the
have
same
another
generation
name,
now.
but
No.
I'm millennial. I'm a millennial, and that's between like the mid 80s or I mean early 80s, I believe. No, generations are like 30 years. Um, so like I think like the mid 80s to no, the mid 70s to the early 90s. Something like that. They're every 30 years. That's all I know.
Okay.
I don't like this. I don't like that thing
Okay,
though.
that's how it
I don't
goes.
really do that generational thing because I think that takes accountability from people as a whole. And I feel like as far as the sisterhood, we do need sisterhood and we don't really have it. And we're letting the men run stuff. We're letting the man run stuff. And we see what happens when men run stuff. Look at all the wars and stuff that we're in. I think women need to set better boundaries and have their ground rules like when you get into a relationship you tell the man, like as women, all the women in here, you tell the man, oh, I'm not dealing with this, I'm not doing that, I don't, and then sometimes it happens and you just be like, well, okay, that's like, nah, you got to stand on that stuff, and we all have to do it, but it is a disconnect. And then we have people like Steve Harvey preaching that it's up to the woman to, think like the man and act like a lady. And it's like we get all the responsibility when things go wrong, even when it's the man that messes up. And I don't think that's fair. Like, I think women, yes, like you said, like the sisterhood needs to come across better. We need to stop worrying about chasing people's bags and, do for ourselves. But I think it's half and half, it's split. You have reality TV shows and the music industry that pushes a certain narrative. But if you look at least Black women, we have the highest rate of going to higher education, and we have the highest numbers for
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
businesses. So
Higher
it's
degrees. I just read that today. Right.
right. So it's really who you're around and what you're doing. But I think what's highlighted are women that deal with people like him, and then, it's starting to become
Okay.
okay to just
Okay.
sleep around,
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. This is it's not the standard. It's not every Black woman. It's not even most Black women. You could say it's too many Black women, but it's definitely highlighted in this situation. One thing I wanted to say too is that I love Iyanla Vanzant and I love Shahrazad Ali. And I remember listening to Shahrazad Ali. I think she wrote books, Understanding the Black Man, Understanding the Black Woman. And she said, at the end of the day, it's the woman that chooses the man. Because as soon as you step outside, as soon as you get online, you're being DM'd or somebody's opening doors for you, not just because they're gentlemen. But at the end of the day, the woman chooses. No matter how well endowed he is, or how much paid he is, or how tall and dark and handsome, the women make the choice. And that's power, and that's a good power that, you know, a lot of women don't choose. No man has a power to make a woman do anything unless it's by force, which is a whole nother thing. But I would definitely men, and
That's true. It's
I
very
made a video
natural.
before. Yeah, I
No,
made
go
a
ahead.
video that I'm gonna about some of the books and stuff that we should read. But I think the day, and I've said this on several occasions, that it's just like the movement for our rights and power and all that stuff. We can't allow celebrities, social media or otherwise, to be our leaders just because they're that. That doesn't mean that they are experts. That doesn't really mean that they really care about the community. And I feel this both Kevin Samuels and Derrick Jaxn, that they're more in it for commerce than they are the community. And I would definitely say that even more Kevin Samuels. Steve Harvey is a whole nother thing because he was already rich and paid before he made his book. But we're going to get to that next week about Steve Harvey more and Kevin Samuels. But we got to be really careful because at the end of the day, even if they give great advice, and I think Derrick Jaxn, some of his videos are on point. Same thing with Kevin Samuels, even some of the things that Steve Harvey says. But at the end of the day, we are the ones that have to do the work on ourselves and the shadow work and the book reading, you know, because I say this all the time as well. We're taught in school how to drive a car. We're taught the 3 R's. We had to learn how to swim when I was in school in order to graduate. And we were taught sex education. I remember in high school there was, and I went to high school in San Francisco. So they brought a lesbian in and a black lesbian woman, a man, to teach us how to wear and use and you know, not have STDs, to fight, you know, to know about STDs. But they didn't teach us how to be in a relationship. They didn't teach us how to deal with the opposite or the same sex interpersonal relationships. So, you know, a lot of us in our community don't always see healthy relationships growing up. So it's like, you know, you put 2 people together and you think that it's supposed to be natural, but it's nothing natural about relationships or the work that we have to do. And I think one of the biggest fallacies is women put too much faith into these so-called experts or social media personalities. Same thing with our movement. We focus so much on the individual rather than what they're saying or really the principles. So, yes, somebody says Derrick Jaxn is a master manipulator, and then all of them are garbage. I think the way that he gave advice was kind of off-putting. Like, it was very blunt in your face, but it was just like, yeah, that N-word, you know, do you be careful and all this other stuff. And he's doing the same thing that he's telling people about, which is
That's why
really
it's
unfortunate.
like if he really, I mean, yes, he's a manipulator, but I mean, he's able to talk about it so strongly because, like you said, he was he was doing it so he could be like, and he know he wrong. He know he wrong, so he go and do what the other girl said. The second girl, she was just like, yeah, I'd be in the room with him in the background, or he would just have left for me, and then the topic would be related to me, and it's just like he was literally. It's like I wonder at one point if he was sitting there, he was just like, I gotta keep cheating or else where my material gonna come from? Because it just seemed like his life was like his story. And he was detaching himself from that. But that's easy to do. That's easy to do. Once you learn how to speak on stage and do interviews and stuff, that's easy to take yourself out of the narrative because everybody can relate. You know, there's going to be somebody that's going to relate to it, right? So he picked the niche. He found where people related to him and he just went in on it. And he branded himself off of that. Even though he wasn't actually living it. And it's easy. Like you said, it's people that look for a relationship advice. They want to know, like, why am I struggling? Am I doing something wrong with Christ? Like, rather than some people realizing, like you said earlier, that this may just be for a season. This relationship may not be to withstand time, or maybe you guys are just supposed to be friends and y'all took it to a level it wasn't supposed to go to, or whatever, right? Rather than people realizing that, some people try to stay in a situation that they're not really supposed to be in, and then that's when he come in. Oh, well, these are what you're doing wrong, and this is what's not supposed to be happening, all that stuff. So then, you know, you start to internalize the problems and make them feel like it's you who's causing this, even if it's just not supposed to be going on anymore. Like his wife, like she's like, I'm not beautiful and all these things, and now she's blaming herself, basically Probably, I'm sure. I'm sure there's part of it. And the comments on all these pictures and videos don't help because a lot of people are blaming her too. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you give her
Yeah.
two things, so
Yeah, I
I'm
think
basically
I would be worried about him if like suicide or whatever. He's so egotistical and narcissistic. He ain't going nowhere. He's probably looking for ways to flip this now. And he got a mortgage to pay, maybe, and he's going to try to get contracts. But I'm almost sure he's going to go on this, I have sinned sort of tour, and then try to rebuild it back up. Um,
and he
but
probably gonna
I
start
think
making these women sign NDAs, which like
yeah,
I
why
don't
didn't
think
he
he's
do
gonna
that in the
stop.
beginning? I think did you say he was sloppy? I think you said he was sloppy at the
Super
beginning.
sloppy.
Like
Because
he was
I mean, look at
sloppy.
Jay-Z been cheating on Beyonce for forever, and we just found out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
somebody said
Like
that. Right.
it's because he was having NDA and he has the money to make people disappear, which we won't get into that. But so it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's one of those things to where some women they just don't want to know. Some women know that they men are cheaters, and they just don't want to know. So it's like, and she seemed like she's
Right.
one of those because she like, oh, it's been 5 months, girl. Bye. Like some of the stories in the video, the woman was saying they just seen him a couple months ago. Like, what is he shielding you from something, or are you just in this denial space that you just like? I wish it happened 5 months ago, and I want to make an excuse to everybody that I've already dealt with this and healed from this and all this other stuff. But honestly, I feel like he got the woman that he knows he needs. And if she's gonna stay, then and she's accepting his behavior, then he needs to, I guess, do a better job of protecting his family because this is embarrassing. And I feel bad for his kids and his wife and his family. Like so
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this. I guess I'm a little older than this guy. Maybe way older than this guy. But like if you find someone that you're gonna, that's gonna be your wife, and she's a black woman, you want to honor that. You want to save all your sexual energy for her because you love her. And then if you look at all the black men that have failed in society, R. Kelly, I hate to say Bill Cosby, other black men that have fallen, it's always these that not sticking with their wives like should.
Bill Cosby
Denzel,
was with his wife though. What you mean? Why you
Jackson.
choose him? He with
Well,
Camille.
I mean, yeah, he was with Camille, but he also had that ego issue. And I just feel like you had to, if you get married, like if you get married too young, and then you just kind of, and then everybody's giving you all these props and adulations, it goes to your ego. And then if you look like Derrick Jaxn, he didn't have to be a star to get the women that he gets, And it's just like, why go out for burgers when you got steak at home? I don't understand that, but
Yeah, sometimes
I'm
you want a
another, I
burger.
guess.
If you have steak every day,
Huh?
no, I'm just kidding. Let me stop this.
I think Eddie Murphy said that. Yeah, something to that effect.
I'm just
Just
kidding.
it's, but look, honestly, like it's so much trouble when you out there and cheat, especially if you're in the public eye. Like, look what happened to these brothers, man. Just
Yeah.
get
I
with
mean,
the
I feel
black
like
woman.
this. I don't think it really exists this thing of getting married too young. Like, I mean, maybe for him personally, but I think it's more so some
Yeah,
people do not need to be married. Like, period. Like, I
yeah.
don't like,
Right.
I mean, my 20s, I was traveling, I was going all over the place. Like, I don't think I would, unless I found somebody that matched my energy. I don't think I was in that space to be getting married and doing that stuff. So it's kind of like you got to know yourself too. Like, what do you want to do in this world? And do you feel like marriage is going to limit you? Because look at George Clooney. George Clooney did not get married to his 40s. Now he has twins and a lovely wife who's a professional and all these things. And he did whatever he wanted to up until that point
Yeah,
without
yeah.
having to publicly
A good
disrespect,
example.
or maybe he got married once before, but you know what I mean? He wasn't publicly disrespecting anybody. You know what I mean? He decided this is not for me. This is what I'm going to do. Leonardo DiCaprio, he dates younger women, but he's not disrespecting anybody. He's never been married. Like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, if it's not for you, then stop trying to make it happen. But I think he wanted that image of a churchman without people really knowing. Like I feel like in the church, he probably talked about having a wife and stuff, and maybe to certain certain audiences, he probably let it be known that he had a family. But for the most part, for all of his brand, because he wanted to look available to some of these women, he kept it kind of hush. You know what I mean? And so he was just using it as a way to boost himself. But it was like he probably never really wanted to be married. But she was up on him since he was in college. My guess is she probably did everything for him. She maybe would have been doing his homework, or feeding him or paying for stuff when he couldn't. And he was just like, look,
Right.
she more of an
And
asset
you
than a
saw,
liability.
right.
Let me just keep her. Like, she a kept woman. I'm gonna keep her barefoot and pregnant at home, and I'm gonna do my dirt. And she was happy just being the wife. Yeah, they did say
Mm-hmm.
that. What do you
That
think? Do
he
you
has
think he
sexual
has sex?
addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I,
I mean, what does it mean to have a
it
sex? Let
definitely
me look it
sounds
up.
like,
What does it mean to
I don't
actually
know what
be?
his diet is like. Sometimes you can eat certain foods and you already have a certain mindset, and maybe you done everything with your wife, and now you just say, I think Eddie Murphy said something like these are the same old Pringles or something he was saying about, and just like what you said, like maybe you get tired of the steak or whatever, but don't be trying to claim
And don't
something
get
that you're
married. That's
not.
how I feel.
Right. Spread the sex out with your wife if that's the case. Try some different stuff. Or you should have got you a woman that maybe was down with polyamory or whatever. But I think he got married too young and she did
He don't want
everything
to
she
share.
said.
He
And
don't
he's
want to
like,
share
yo,
though.
maybe
That's why he
I
wouldn't
can
go
do a
for
come
that.
up. I can come up with her. Right.
Right.
And she was beautiful. She's beautiful, And sometimes, I'm going to give y'all a little secret, lady. Sometimes if a woman just says yes, that's what it is for us. Because sometimes we get shut down so many times. When a woman finally says yes, it's just like, okay, yeah, let's go for it.
That's
But
sad.
when we're talking about ego and some, you kind of lose it. So I think is probably eating steaks every night, and certain food you eat maybe adds to your mentality that you should conquer everyone. So
Mm.
I don't know. Like, steps would be for us not to follow celebrities just because they have good advice. And he did have some good advice. I will say that much. He should have just said, look, I'm talking about speaking from my own experience. If he would have did that, then even more powerful, right? Me and my wife, I think he did say him and his wife were having some problems, stuff like that. And actually, I just had an affair last night or whatever. Like, that would have been more like legit.
It's an ongoing problem.
You know, probably
Let
said,
me
oh,
read what it.
just tell the truth.
Right. So let me read
Just like
what.
James Ball. Go
Oh, I
ahead.
was gonna say, let me read what it says the addiction is, right? So it says a sex
Okay.
addiction is described as a compulsive need to perform sexual acts in order to achieve the kind of fix that a person with alcohol use disorder gets from a drink, or someone with opioid use disorder gets from using opioids, right? It's very vague, but this is the following signs of it, right? Chronic obsessive sexual thoughts
Mhm.
and fantasies, compulsive relations with multiple partners, including strangers, lying to cover behaviors, preoccupation with having sex even when it interferes with daily life, productivity, work performance, and so on, inability to stop or control the behaviors, putting oneself or others in danger due to sexual behavior, feeling remorse or guilt after sex, and then experiencing other negative personal or professional consequences. So
Oh, wow, that's deep.
it does seem like
But here's
I wonder if he feels guilt
go
though.
ahead.
That's the only thing I'm not sure of, if he feels guilt. He like Tiger Woods.
Yeah. I know he feels guilty for getting busted like that. But how do you do all this stuff in the middle of a pandemic as well? I'm scared to ask somebody out on a date right now. Personally, like, what we both gonna? I don't know if you've taken a shot. I don't know what you've done. And I take
Right,
my
what
next
is
shot
it?
tomorrow. I'm gonna live stream it as well. Second shot. But like, how do you do all this in the? I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Pandemic or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you have but that's the part about the compulsivity. If you have an addiction, you don't care. You don't care.
Right.
You've seen mothers who's addicted to coke or something, they baby crying and all they can think about is going to get a fix. You know what I mean? Like it kind of trumps everything when you have an addiction. Um, but what I do feel like is, I hope, if it is a sex, okay, I hope if he comes out and says that it's a sex addiction, that it was actually that, because I do feel like sometimes when these celebrity men get caught doing these kind of behaviors, they always be like, "Oh, I'm a sex addict," and it's like, oh, way to like blame it on addiction and something that people actually struggle with if it's not really a struggle,
Right. Yeah, man. It's like I just for some reason I thought about you remember the governor? He was running for governor in Florida. Andrew, what's his name? Andrew, he's the black guy, and he got caught in a hotel room with like some gay
With
guys
the
or
man
whatever
and
and
the
some
coke and
drugs.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he finally had to come out and say that he was bisexual, and I think he has a problem with alcohol as well. But he has like 3 or 4 children, a beautiful wife. He went to FAMU, and yeah, so he came out after he got busted. So this what makes you know that some of these brothers aren't really sincere in terms of, I mean, he may have to get help now, but for sincere reasons.
You see what Gail said? That do make sense. He make a
Yeah,
video because he feel guilty. I'm telling you, I feel like it's really that was
right.
his way of kind of washing it. Like, if I can help somebody else not be dirty like me. But okay, so if he really is a sex addict, then that means he's picking up prostitutes.
Oh,
So I'm
damn,
just
really?
waiting for some of these sex workers to come out if
Yeah,
that's the case.
that makes
Because if
come
you
out.
really a sex
But
addict, you don't wait.
but he looks a certain way where he doesn't have to do that. But if it's an addiction, it's a whole different
Well,
matter.
yeah, I was about to say there's no have to or not. Like, you've seen, like, think of all the men that have gotten in trouble for rape. And they're not all ugly.
Right,
It's not about the looks.
right,
They don't care. Like,
right.
it's about the fix.
Right. Like, yeah, Darren Sharper. I don't know if you remember him. He got busted. He was a football player, nice looking guy. Same thing with Kevin Winslow, raping older women. And then there's this other guy, Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of Houston. He's
Hmm.
supposedly been going into the massage parlors. 13 women have 4 now charges against him. And he's rich. He's a quarterback, a nice looking guy as well, brother. And yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter if you have an addiction or control issue,
Right.
you
Now,
know.
talking about that,
Uh,
the quarterback you just mentioned, right? He made a statement saying,
mhm.
this is not true, and he's gonna work his hardest to clear his name, right? So let's just play devil's advocate, because I don't like to say that women are lying of from sexual assault. I don't like to say that. But we do know that there is some gains to, coming out and telling us, because look, even with Bill
Yeah,
Cosby, there were some women that came out, and were like, we lied, this that didn't really actually happen, right? So
right.
do you feel like all the stories that are coming out about Mr. Jackson are true, or do you think some people are hopping on it to be on the right side of history? Like, say, The Resident, because some people, if you looked at the comments to Tasha K's video that you sent me, some people were like, "Nah, I don't believe her," or saying stuff like this. It's not true. She's lying, whatever, right? So let's
Mhm.
say she is like, do you feel like some of these people are maybe like hopping on this story and they maybe did hook up with him but are trying to spin it and make it seem like they're innocent of everything?
I don't think they're innocent, especially after they found out he was married. I've only heard about, I think, 2 or 3 of them. And I don't know how much he's been doing this. They both sounded sincere, kind of foolish, but sincere. And the first one, that she didn't even know who he was. Like, you didn't really even know who he was. But if you're a single woman, tall, dark, and well, not you, of course, but anybody really that's really watching or comment. But if you're a woman of a different mentality, you see a tall, dark, and handsome man that knows how to talk to you, is well built, you might give into it. And I don't know how many women have come out against him so far. The two that I know, they seem to be pretty legit. And then Gail is saying the first lady didn't come out until after he blocked her. That affair happened July 2020. So I don't know. But like I said, they said the latest thing was the one, there was a woman last week. And then there's the doctor that he had the abortion. She actually insisted that she had an abortion because she
But
wasn't
I
ready.
Google
She's
people.
30.
I I'm not no doctor. I'm not scared to lose my clinical license or whatever, but like I'ma Google you. I'ma Google you. I be
Right.
Googling people still. Like, even if I've been around all your
Some
people,
people
I'm
ain't into
still
the
on
internet
your
like
social.
that.
Huh?
But yeah, but something. Well, first of all, like I said, like a lot of women may not have you guys' mentality, but some women aren't
In
into social
2021,
media
come
like
on,
that.
now, like it's too easy. I
But you
mean,
ain't
it's not
even
even a
know
Google.
Perky.
Like
Like you haven't really.
when I say Google, I don't mean like I literally hop on Google and be like Derrick Jaxn. Like, you get on Facebook. You get on because look, that's one of the easiest ways to know if somebody's with somebody. And I mean, obviously he
Oh,
hit it. That's what they're saying. But
okay.
that's an easy way right there. You know what I mean? Like, let me see. Derrick Jaxn, okay, Facebook, who's his friends? And then it comes off funny, right? When you see that certain things are blocked. Or like for me, right? My social media, I don't take pictures with a lot of other people and put them on my page. That's to protect, other people. I don't think it's right to post other people. But somebody might be
True
like,
that.
how come you
True that.
always by yourself? Like, who be taking these pictures? Or you know what I mean? Like if you start dating somebody, you start spending some time, or you, especially if you start laying down with somebody, or even if you got pregnant and you thinking about getting divorced, like at some point, especially when it came out that he was married, but they separated. Like, that brings me to a
Right.
question I wanted to ask earlier. Do you think that it's okay for somebody to be with somebody when they find out that they're separating? Or do you think that, like, say if even if it started from the beginning, like, oh, I'm married but we're separating, do you feel like that's a no? Or do you feel like it's always a no to date somebody even if they're separated or getting a divorce or whatever? Like, what do you feel about it? I personally think nah, I ain't dealing with it, but like I want to know your thoughts.
On the one hand, it's like the sisterhood respect from the woman's point of view when you know. And then from the man's point of view or from the man's angle, like if you're separated, shouldn't you're either trying to get back in a relationship or you're trying to work it out with yourself, the help that you need. But I feel like you should be a clear break before you be with you're with someone else. They say I don't know if I agree with this, but they say the healing process should be twice as long as time that you were in the relationship
Hmm.
or the marriage. About that, because life is
What if
so
we
short and
married
time
20
is so
years? I'm supposed to be alone
huh?
for the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And time is not infinite. Time is finite, and
Yeah.
people need to realize that. So that should be first of all that he's married. That should be the first warning sign for the sisters, and then the fact you're separated. Okay, so I can give you a book to read. Maybe we can talk online every now and then, but I'm going to be having relations with you because you're just probably stringing me along. That's how the women. I feel like the sisters should think separated, but you can work that out because I don't want to be caught in between, and it's not going to end good for me. So no, I don't think that's a good thing. But for women that have less self-esteem as you and all the other women I see commenting here, it's a different story. Not everyone has y'all mentality, unfortunately, or the self-love or the self-respect. And like having sex in your own house, in your own bed, like, oh God, your children play in that bed as well, and how could you
There's some
do
people
that?
that are
Like he had
attracted to the taboo of situations.
oh,
He probably got turned on even
right,
more
yeah,
about
yeah.
thinking that, because I bet money. I bet money when his wife came back, that was the first thing he did. I bet you he bedded her in the bed. Probably didn't even clean the sheets, just because in his mind it was like, hoo. I know something she don't know. It's
Narcissist.
it's
Right.
it's yeah, it's a
It's a thrill.
it's
It's a
yeah,
fake
exactly. It's a
thrill.
thrill to it.
Yeah.
Right. It should be left
You know,
Lisa left. Sister should be Lisa left eye. Right. Right.
burning down the
And
house.
the funny thing
Like
about
this,
Lisa
oh
is he went
yeah.
and bailed her out because he knew he was wrong.
Right.
So I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. This whole situation is messy, but I think at the end of the day, it's like she's allowing for it at this point. Like let's just give her the benefit of the doubt and say she didn't know most of this stuff was happening up until this point. Her sticking around with him says enough for me. I hope she's just in a daze, because I'm like that. Sometimes it takes me a minute to process. Like sometimes people will say something to me and I'll be like, okay. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait, hold on, you got me. all the way effed up. Like sometimes it is a minute,
Right.
and it's a lot going on. So like maybe in like a week or so, we'll see her really leaving and getting her strength, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like she's okay with his behavior. So who am I to say how their relationship should look?
Right. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, I like your optimism, Gail. Gail's been posting stuff about, maybe they should try to stick it out, or maybe they need to work it out amongst themselves, whether it works out or not. But at the end of the day, I agree with you, Gail, that divorce should be final. And even after that, this should take some time to heal and to move on. And you can still be friends in the process.
Yeah.
But I don't care how good the sex is, ever, you probably shouldn't get involved, because if he's if he's separated, he's divorced, and then he like jumps right into bed with you, he's doing it with other people as well. And it's not like he
In
doesn't
that
have options.
energy, I don't want the energy. Like, as I've gotten older, I really am understanding how energy is transferred, and how even just being near to somebody. And just think of all that energy that he's been spreading
Right.
out through all these women, all this, and then not only that, but he's bedding all these women and then going home and taking that energy back to his wife. And that might be another reason why she's so burdened. Like, he got all of this energy that he's placing onto her, and she's dealing with that, and it seems like he absolves it by one continuing and then making these videos, because he's getting praises and stuff from other people, where she's not. Like, she's invisible. And then the very first time that she becomes visible to the world, everybody's bashing her. Well, not everybody, but majority of people are bashing her. And it's crazy. Like, and it's all because of him. But she's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to put no blame on her, but in a way, she's kind of allowing some of this.
Right. Because now that she knows, she should do, you know better, you do better. But that
Right.
doesn't work for people that themselves in scripture that they don't really understand.
Hmm.
I'm gonna also post on my community page. There's another actual therapist that really diagnoses them and breaks them down. He doesn't have much of a following, but he gives a pretty good readout on what they are. Okay, but anyway, I want to start to kind of wrap it up a little bit and talk about next steps. Where do we go from here? And I guess we have to ask ourselves: can we relate to this situation? Are we going through this situation? What do we do to learn from this situation so it doesn't happen to us?
It's crazy.
And Gail is also saying, um, you know, he doesn't protect her at all. He's not protecting her at all. Stood around and making those videos from his car, you know. Um, and also, Miss Lakers is saying about social media. I think a next step could be to be careful about social media. If I was talking to his wife, advising his wife, I would just say don't read the comments or disable the comments. Or why do you even care what people say if you're so anointed and all this other stuff? And then she gets on Ray and behind her and all this other stuff. So there's some deeper stuff going on. But I would say next steps is just be very careful when you're listening to celebrities talk about
Yeah.
relationships, because you know what they're doing behind closed doors.
Right.
Really. Uh, yeah.
Wait, Miss Lakers, I
I
see
don't know.
you say that you're a lawyer and you don't have social media, but would you would you look up somebody
Mm,
on social media? Because I mean, you may not have your own
if you
account,
weren't,
but
she wasn't married, right?
right, if you weren't married, like,
She's
would you have searched
a long
them
time.
like on there?
Yeah,
Because that's my biggest thing. I just feel like, because she realized she didn't see any of his videos, never, but he makes videos. Like, nothing made you think, like, let me go and look. I don't know. Like, it's just so strange to me that
right.
that didn't happen, like, until after all this stuff. I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, some people are hidden in plain sight. So, but yeah, you
Right.
saying, like, what's next steps, like, for her or for us as the community watching all
But
this
I
play out?
guess I guess we would, if we were diagnosing her, I think we all would agree she needs some sort of mental help or whatever, evaluations or some sort of shadow work, definitely some shadow work. They both need it. That's what I would say for them out of this. What are the next steps? And Gail just said, don't put people on a pedestal, especially social media creation celebrities. Yeah. Anything else you advise? Love
Um,
yourself, of course.
yeah, I would just say, just have a better understanding of yourself because I was in some pretty relationships, especially in my early 20s. And I'm not that old now, but in my early 20s I was definitely in some yucky relationships, and I did have some issues with my self-esteem and stuff growing up. Got big old eyes, I always heard about it. And so there were certain things I felt about myself that I think probably allowed for me to deal with things that I shouldn't have. And I'm glad I didn't get married or tied down to any of those people in the beginning. But I will say that as I've gotten older and I learned how to love myself and learn more about myself and did that work to figure out things about myself and all that stuff, it became easier to be with somebody else because you start to recognize your flaws and your good things and all that stuff, and you start to set your boundaries of what you do and do not deal with when dealing with other people. And it gets easier to walk away from situations that you know are not conducive to you. And I feel like if his wife were to do some more of that self work that maybe she never did because they got married or were together young, or whatever her excuse is, she just relies on the Lord or whatever as her self work. If she did some actual spiritual work and not just put it all out and on the church, and in prayer, uh, I feel like then she would start to recognize that she doesn't deserve this.
Yes, facts. And I think the whole shadow work is very important. From the first time somebody told you something about yourself that wasn't loving, that wasn't true. I used to get a lot about my lips. Still got a big head, but I realized the big lips come from Africa,
Right,
and the big head means I got a brain. Love
right.
myself, you know. But you get so many of those darts in you, and and you have beautiful, big eyes. But if you get enough darts in you, it can affect you over time, and
Hmm.
then you start this with you love and attention that you didn't have, and then you just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna be with this person, and they're gonna make up for me not having a father, or me not having a loving mom, or me having whatever love in my life. And I think the next steps is for us to really love ourselves where we don't feel adequate about something, and you know, and don't and do the work. Don't go into. She's almost defending him in a lot of ways, and saying God, I forgive him, God forgives him, and all this other stuff. I think that we got to be careful on how we use spirituality, and it should be something that uplifts us. And there should be reciprocity. And the one thing about relationships, there should definitely be reciprocity. It can't always be 50-50. Sometimes it's going to be 199, but it has to eventually balance out. It should be 100,
Yeah.
but it has to balance out. And I don't know, it just seems like she cloaks herself in so much misappropriation of spirituality in the Bible that she doesn't understand that submission goes both ways. Submission only means to agree to. And if she doesn't agree with the behavior, she shouldn't allow them. He's going to keep doing it, and she shouldn't have to become a detective to find out,
Yeah.
uh, you know,
Especially at
know where
this
your
point.
partner
Like, I can see the
is.
precaution of being a
Problem,
detective or whatever as a woman in the beginning, and, just trying to do a little bit of research on who they. I'm not saying hire a private investigator or anything like that, but at least trying to do your due diligence. And then also, I mean, this is where that sisterhood comes back in, though, that we talked about, because I've been that girl that had a boyfriend. I say that lightly, that took me around all his people, and then nobody let me know that he had a whole girlfriend. And I feel like there is some responsibility to the families and stuff because, they sometimes uphold and help to hide some of these negative behaviors. But I will say, like, now that she's in it, yeah, like, nah, you can't allow this. You cannot allow this as daily work. And I think another bad thing that happens in Black families or Black culture, or I'll speak for us, is that sometimes we look to our partner to help heal us rather than trying to heal ourselves, or even just even if you're already together, just doing the work to heal yourself.
Definitely. And I think one of the main reasons that you should be together is to grow together. This
Yeah.
is a disrespectful situation. You have to do your own work for yourself and then for the relationship. The only obstacles I see in this case, and this could also evolve to other people, is you could be trapped. Of course, you seem like you're trapped in the probation of religion. One thing, you could be trapped by the confines of being in a nice house and having nice things, and then you could also be trapped in the children. Well, what about the children? And then you could be trapped into, well, I'm supposed to submit to my husband. But all of these things don't matter. Your children may I won't say disrespect you, but they'll be disappointing you when they found out that you allow yourself to be disrespected in public like this. And
Mm.
you could the thing go, but the respect should be there. And in her case, she'll worry about how other people feel. Shit, that should motivate you to be like, yo, I got to do better than this. I can't be allowing this violence to happen against me, this emotional violence to happen to me, and the disrespect. And that's what
Right.
I want to talk about more in the future. Talk about the biggest abuse in relationships isn't physical, isn't domestic violence. That is a problem, and sexual violence. That is a problem. Harassment, but the disrespect that you get in relationships and is one of the biggest issues that we have, not only in our community, but in all communities. How people talk to you, how people act around you and respond to you, and all the rest of that stuff. And if there's no surprise, respect in relationship, you should go. So on the one hand, I hope that they get the help that they need. At the end of the day, she's gonna have to do the shadow work. He's gonna have to do the shadow work. But now I just wonder, like, if he goes on this forgiveness tour, like how honest and legitimate is it? And now he's definitely this $100,000 speaking contract, and he just came out with a book as well. I think it's called "Heal Ourselves" or something like that.
That's gonna be
So he's
a
kind
New
of
York
in a
bestseller.
too. I don't think she's going anywhere, honestly. But hopefully that changes. So I don't know.
I mean, look at
But anyway,
Fabulous and Emily B. He knocked her teeth out, and she's still there.
oh
Like some women, they will stay in negative situations, until they feel like they can get out. Like even like Tina Turner, she stayed in that situation because of look at the lifestyle that she felt probably at that time was willed to her through Ike. Like maybe his wife, like you said, she feels like she wouldn't have that kind of life, and her kids wouldn't have that kind of life if she didn't stay around. But if she signed them papers, she could do it herself.
right,
So I'm gonna
right,
pray for
right.
her. I'm gonna pray for her.
Yeah, we can pray for her, put positive energy out to both of them. Maybe he can turn around. Maybe he can change. Maybe this will be a wake up call for him. But I feel like this is just me, and I think some brothers would agree with me. Once you put your hands on a woman, and sometimes once you cheat on a woman, that's pretty much it. I
You know
can't
what?
imagine, first of all,
I know
putting
what's
your
gonna
hands on a woman
happen.
or even cursing at a woman. Go ahead.
He gonna turn the tables on her, and he gonna divorce her. Watch, watch. He gonna serve her the
Yeah,
papers.
that would be a narcissistic move.
And he
That
gonna do it.
what his
Watch,
MO
because then
always
he
sounds
can go
like.
on his little forgiveness tour and be like, you know what, I did all these things wrong. He can dish all his business. He can write his own tell-all book, and he can say, I left the situation because I wasn't doing her right. And then he would look like the good person at the end of the day. I bet you he'll do it. He probably got somebody in his
Right,
ear right now that's telling him to do this. His PR people.
right,
I'm gonna put a
right.
bet on it.
And he'll be like, maybe I need to be single for a little bit.
Watch. Watch. I mean, I'll be good as long as somebody leave. But watch. I bet you. He not gonna leave. It's gonna end up being her unless his lawyer advises him that he has too much to lose.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay, well, folks, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us from now. Thank everybody for the comments, Miss Laker, Felicia, Gail. We're gonna meet next week, same time. We're gonna do Steve Harvey and Kevin Samuels. Because I know Miss Perky has a lot to say about Steve Harvey. And I have a lot to say about Kevin Samuels. And so I think the next steps for all of us, and I'm going to post a video, so look for that. I got some books that we should read. I'll just say them right quick. The books that I really think are helpful is One Day My Soul Opened Up by Young Ben. There's two books by a white man named Ken Keyes that was really good. One is called Unconditional Love. The other is called Handbook to Higher Consciousness. And then there's another book by Ra'un Amenefer called Afrocentric Guide to a Spiritual Union, which is probably the best book I've ever read for Black in relationship, for us in relationships. So yeah, on that note, I thank Ms. Perky for chiming in today, and everybody live for chiming in and help us build this for next week. Same time, same place next week, tomorrow, 9 o'clock Eastern time, I guess 6 o'clock if you're on the West Coast. And thanks for chiming in, everyone. And I'll see you next time. I love you guys.
Bye.
Peace. Good night. All right. Not sure. Am I still on? I'm trying to end this broadcast. Okay. Yeah.